Good afternoon. I'm Julie Ludka from Business Online Journal. Today, as our guest, we have David Hartzel, President and CEO of Cornell Capital Management. Welcome, Dave.
Thank you, Julie.
I read your book, Dividend Capture, From Theory to Practical Application on Seeking Alpha. Can you tell me what got you started in dividend capture?
At Cornell Capital Management, we use both the Journal of Finance and the Journal of Financial Economics to generate ideas. We like to research and trade in financial markets where extensive financial research has been done, but different strategies may or may not have been actively traded. This is where we first bumped into the idea of dividend capture, which is not new. In fact, dividend capture goes back to the 1980s.
Can you give me some background?
Dividend capture was pioneered by the Japanese insurance companies back in the early 1980s. At that time, Japanese law required life insurers to pay policyholders from current income rather than capital gains. This is why insurers were so eager for dividends. The ministry gradually modified the law, and insurers can now include some capital gains in their payments.
Why didn't the strategy catch on in the United States?
Strategy never caught on here because American laws were different than Japanese insurance laws. The other key driver back in the 1980s was that it was very expensive to trade stocks in the United States. A lot of brokerages were charging 3% in and 3% out. Flash forward to 2011, with the advent of one price, all you can trade, it's remarkably cheap to trade large blocks of stock. A million share trade, in fact, now costs peanuts. In the early 80s, it would have been astronomical. And back in the early 80s, dividends actually wouldn't cover it. Now they will. With the rise in technology in 2011, you can trade very cheaply, and all of a sudden, dividend capture is back in vogue.
How does the strategy work?
Well, actually, there are 4 strategies to dividend capture. I wrote an article for Seeking Alpha, and one of the things that surprised me is there are actually hundreds of branch strategies off the 4 main strategies. But in our book, we talk about the 4 main strategies that drive most dividend capture. The first strategy says, buy a stock that pays 5% or greater dividend 2 weeks before the X date, sell it 2 days prior to the X date. This strategy works well because of the increase in volume and rise in price immediately prior to the dividend, which is known in academic circles as the abnormal volume around the X dividend date, and has been the subject of many studies. The second strategy is to buy the stock the day before it goes X, capture the dividend, and sell it the next day. This is the most common of dividend capture strategies and the one that most people are familiar with. It's also the one that the most research has been done. While the market is rising, this is the simplest, most efficient, and least volatile way to capture dividends. The third strategy we talk about in our book is to buy the stock after the X date and hold it to the payment date. This was devised by a professor of strategy at the University of Buffalo. Excess returns are relatively high on the payment date and on several subsequent trading days immediately after it. The fourth strategy is to short the stock immediately after it goes ex-dividend, cover the short within 7 days. This is to take advantage of the post-X drop to pick up a quick gain after the dividend has been paid.
How long has it been since your book came out?
Mohammed Sarathia, who was an MBA student at UB, and I wrote the book back in 2004. And in that time, the 4 main strategies, while they haven't changed, there have been, like I said, literally hundreds of side strategies people have developed to trade dividend capture.
Have you found that dividend capture works the majority of the time?
Absolutely not. In fact, one of the key drawbacks to using dividend capture as a trading strategy is the fact that it does not work all the time. It's only a part-time strategy. So if you're a trader, dividend capture is an arrow in your quiver, but it's never your main strategy. I've used dividend capture as a very profitable trading strategy for many years, but its strength lies in actively using dividend capture only during prolonged bull markets. The downside of dividend capture is that no matter how nimble you think you are, or no matter how sophisticated your trading technology is, dividend capture will absolutely get you killed during a bear market.
Okay, well, thank you for your time, and we wish you the best in the future.
Thank you, Julie.
You're welcome.
Wow.